The investigation raises tough questions. Should outfits like Agunechemba continue to exist? Who holds them accountable when they abuse power? And what reforms can protect both core members and ordinary citizens from harassment? To discuss this further, we are joined by Marshall-Anthoni Ononye, Special Investigative Correspondent with News Central. Guys, this one, I'm just going to take a back seat because there's been a lot of conversation while you were watching that visual.
You must join.
So I will join. I'm right here.
Okay.
So Mazino.
Marshall, you're welcome. Very interesting piece there. Couldn't take my eyes from off of it last night when it was on air, and then again to have it air here on Breakfast. But to get to it, it's a very worrying situation in Anambra State. Let's also mention, well, most of the East, Imo State. There is need for very good security, and that's why the Agunechemba was instituted. And so far, it seems to be helping. However, the issue that happened from June, or was it July, with the core members seem to have brought them under much scrutiny. So we see a very needed solution. However, there's calls for its disbandment on account of what had happened with the core members, which was very, very bad. We thought that that had gone away, and then all of a sudden we see a resurgence for the call for the disbandment of Agunechemba. But take us through it, and I'll let you do plenty of the speaking. What exactly is going on in Anambra State regarding security, regarding Agunechemba, and however the core members' instance played into it? Do tell us.
Thank you very much, Mazino. So Anambra State, like you rightly said, Agunechemba guys were instituted or inaugurated to boost the efforts of other security formations like the police, the DSS, and the army. And because, there's been this push and call for state policing. I mean, there was a need for the state to galvanize people who are more grounded in terms of the knowledge of the environment, knowledge of the people, to know how to navigate these bushes where these criminal elements were using as their hideouts. Now, Soludo, remember that when he was campaigning, he was attacked. His aide was abducted. He was attacked by these unknown gunmen. At the time, the name and unknown gunmen was so popular, and you'd hardly read a news bulletin without one or two mention of these unknown gunmen. But how often do you now hear of unknown gunmen, operating? The guys who we spoke with, some of them had fled Anambra State, like the chairman of the building material, he had fled Anambra State, was operating from Asaba. And at the time, he needed to even go further away from the east and wanted to go to Abuja when Soludo came in and inaugurated the Agunechemba guys. I'm not holding stead for them.
But they were necessary.
Apparently, because remember also that News Central had a town hall meeting in one of its series in Anambra State. And before that town hall series, we had to go do some surveillance and then feel the pulse of the people. It was so tense. I mean, even going there this season, I still had a little bit of that tension. And joining these guys to go for an operation which we didn't use there in one of the bushes, and they recovered. For the first time, as I cited C4. These guys were using
plastic explosives?
Yes, C4.
C4?
Yes, the C4, they were using, these were homemade explosives. They were doing these things, constructing these things in their several camps in the bushes.
Now, tell us about the camps which you made mention of. You're going to get back on track. But you said that they're comfortable enough, these unknown gunmen, to actually build structures in bushes. We saw a bulldozer in operation. What was that about?
So they've got these bulldozers that they use in bringing down these structures that are erected by these guys in the bushes. So that's what they use it for. And I can't remember ever walking into a police station and I see these bulldozers. I mean, if you walk into their office, the Agunechemba guys, they've got over 10 of these bulldozers, that have been assigned to them to operate with. And they gave me a little rundown about how they deploy them technically, but basically to bring down these strongholds and then attack or confront these criminal elements.
Back on track now.
So, yes. So, what I saw, initially going there, I really wanted to x-ray or focus on the negativity because I felt there was so much negative energy around these guys, especially with the aspirants, political governorship aspirant at the time calling for their disbandment. But speaking to them and sampling the opinions of Anambrarians, I mean, my opinion began to change because I was able to, get better insight to how they run their operation, how committed they are to seeing that Anambra State is more secured, and the fact that they disciplined the guys that were involved in that assault.
Okay.
And then there was a little insight. They were saying that, look, it is political because this thing happened sometime in mid-July, and the whole thing died down because they were able to pacify the
That's
victims.
the instance with the core members now.
With the core members, and they were able to pacify the victims' compensations, and they claimed that these victims had said they didn't want to go to court, but they insisted on handing these culprits over to the police for prosecution. And then few weeks down the line, after the by-elections in Anambra State, and of course, the political party in power had cleared, the seats. And then you now have the opposition ahead of the November 8th governorship election, as these guys are claiming. The other aspirants in opposition calling for the disbandment because, according to them, they feel that these Agunechemba guys are a ready-made instrument in the hands of the governor to, make things go his way in the coming election. And that's why they are harping on the fact that they feel it's political.
Right.
What a web. What a web.
We'll come back to you. I'm being told that we're joined by Nweke, who's a PR of Agunechemba. Good morning, sir, and thank you for joining us.
Good morning, News Central.
Thank you.
Mr. Nweke, can you just give us an update of what is happening so far and what is the response from the state government to Agunechemba at the moment?
Well, we want to thank you for connecting Agunechemba. His Excellency, the Governor of Anambra State, Professor Charles Soludo, is committed in making sure that the citizen sleeps with their two eyes closed. Let me inform you that before the coming of this administration, Anambra State had been in disarray vis-a-vis the activities of the hoodlums or the bandits who decided to take the advantage of the fact that the state is a business and non-state, and the bandits believe that every person in the state, have a kidnapping value. So many of them in various parts of this country, see the state as a heaven for them to stay. But His Excellency, the Governor, on coming on board, studied the environment and discovered why it is better to give the state a very sound security system. Agunechemba, as you all know, is a child of necessity. The government did not just come from Agunechemba. The formation of Agunechemba passed through the law of the state, and there is a legislative backing to the Agunechemba. And as I speak, the governor himself has provided every needed facilities to make sure that we in Agunechemba operate in making sure that these hoodlums have no say in the state. And in all nook and crannies of the state, the people of the state are watching us. They can bear the witness that this outfit has done marvelously. And remember, we are a baby police. We work hand in hand with other law enforcement agencies as the act or the bill that established Agunechemba, empowers us to work.
My apologies.
The other federal government.
My apologies, Mr. Nweke.
Security.
I know that you're trying to get out a lot, but we have very limited time. I wanted to find out regarding the actions of the Agunechemba members that were caught on camera harassing the coppers. What has happened with them? So we get a clear statement from you about that instance.
As your reporter earlier told us here, they were arrested and handed over to the police, and the police are doing the needful now. All the suspects are with the police as I speak.
Thank you very much. Marshall, I'm going to come back to you regarding the situation in Anambra State. Let's also bring in Imo State here, where there is always the sit-at-home order for Mondays, if I'm not mistaken. That's a situation that most people, there's no edict, there's no law, but people have to abide by it because of fear of getting harmed by miscreants or people of the underworld. So what is the security situation in these states? What are the concerns of the citizens in these states regarding the security situation? Are they in support of the structures like Agunechemba, for instance, or are they also perhaps maybe calling for the disbandment? What did you find out?
So during our course there, we, toured several parts of the state and spoke with several people, and they all, right from the airport. I mean, the man who picked us from the airport and took us around on the first day, we had an interview with him which we couldn't feature. We couldn't feature several other interviews. I mean, they all said no to calls for disbandment. That's first impression. I would hate to hear them say no, because I mean, I was there hoping to fight a good cause against the injustice that we felt at the time was perpetrated against these guys, was meted out on them.
The youth corpus?
The youth corpus, the assault. But from get-go, on arrival, we kept hearing no to the disbandment. Down to other places we went, they said no. But a few people said, look, these guys would need some form of training and retraining. It should be a continuous thing. And no doubt you would find some bad eggs, some miscreants even, amongst them. Talking about sit-at-home, which you mentioned, remember that it is very popular in Imo State. Enugu and Anambra State was. But right now, you would find people coming out to say, look, they will trade on Monday. They will go to work on Monday because they don't feel insecure any longer. It's just for the government to continue to make strong statements about, working on Monday, and then over time get to counter the sit-at-home order that was imposed by these IPOP guys.
Anthony, I'm very, very sorry. Do you have a question to ask? Because we have left you out of this for so long.
I told you guys that I was going to let you guys do this.
Marshall, finally, now let's take Agunechemba as a security outfit, which seems to be doing well, helping with insecurity in Anambra State. The call for state policing. Do you think that this gives credit to that call? And I wonder if Mr. Nweke can hear this question as well. But we're out of time, so I can only get your response. But Marshall, please.
Yes, absolutely. It would give credence to the call for state policing, because you could see the difference that these guys have done. At the time in Anambra State, police officers and military men could not wear their uniforms and operate on roads and all of that. They were getting killed by the day. But, with the advent of the Agunechemba guys, these guys and to think that they just use, lower grade weapons to combat these other guys who use sophisticated weapons. They just use local intelligence, and they know the people that know the terrain better.
So if they had more support, they'd do better.
Yes.
And if we had state police that had that kind of structure, it will be better for the security situation in these parts.
Thank you,
Marshall. Thank you very much. Mr. Nweke, my apologies, our apologies that we could not have you speak more, but we are out of time. But thank you for the efforts. Marshall, thank you for your effort putting together that very enthralling, riveting, detailed, piece together. We absolutely enjoyed it.
Welcome.
Suspenseful.
See?
Thank you very much. And to everybody who joined us since yesterday for Breakfast Extra, this is the end. Well, not the end totally. We've still got more installments before the end of the month, but thank you for joining us.